Okay. I'm retired from my job with local government. I am now a real estate agent. I'm a real estate investor, and I'm also a substitute teacher and an author.
Why did you decide to be a part of the Preserving the Black History Project?
Because I grew up out here in Haddonfield, and my grandparents, my mother's family from here, out here, and my father was born right here on Douglas Avenue. The house, he grew up there. And I spent so many years there, wonderful years as a child growing up. That's why I wanted to participate.
What is the most memorable part of your experience growing up or in or near Haddonfield?
The time that I spent in the woods in the area, the parks and the woods, the lake, fishing and collecting animals, amphibians, and reptiles. I used to be, as a child, snakes. I was always snake hunting, catching snakes, keeping them for pets and so forth. Just the outdoors.
Has your adult life been different from what you imagined as a teenager?
Yes and no. I mean, I always wanted to go into research, work for maybe a research institute, working with animals and reptiles, and I wound up becoming a teacher and a government worker and a realtor. But, it turned out fine.
What is the most important lesson you have learned in life?
To be patient. To be patient. And also appreciate what you have.
What do you hope will be accomplished through the Preserving Black Haddonfield?
I hope it opens doors and opportunities to different people that may not have had opportunities before, and that it will bring people together more, different cultures, and so forth.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not really. Just overall, I'm just glad the project was put together because it's opened so many people's minds to different things that were going on that people never had any idea took place and happened in history. So maybe through that understanding, things will improve in
right. My name is Harvey Johnson, and I'm an attorney.
Alright. And why did you decide to be a part of the Haddonfield History Project?
I was asked by Mrs. Rose to do it, and whatever she asked me to do, I do.
And what was the most memorable part of your experience growing up in Haddonfield or near Haddonfield?
Family.
And has your adult life been different from what you imagined as a teenager?
Yes.
And what is the most important lesson you've learned in life?
To be kind to other people.
And what do you hope will be accomplished to preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
I hope that it will make people begin to respect each other.
And is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think if we could do that, we've accomplished something significant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nancy Kirby, and I'm a retired Director of Admissions for the Graduate School of Social Work and Social Research at Bryn Mawr College.
Why did you decide to be a part of the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
Because I think that there are many things that have gone on before that the rest of the community needs to be aware of. And there's a rich history of the contributions that African Americans have made to this community. And it's great to be able to highlight that.
What is the most memorable part of your experience growing up in or around Haddonfield?
The most memorable part, I would think, would be the closeness and the support of the African American community, and that community gave us the background and the fortitude to persevere in a community in other parts that were not necessarily welcome. And I will say that as an African American, at the time that I was here, I was also aware of how the one or two Jewish students who happened to live in the community were very much excluded.
Has your adult life been different from what you imagined as a teenager?
I don't know what I imagined my adult life would be like, so it just unfolded, and that's fine.
What is the most important lesson you have learned in life?
The most important lesson that I've learned in life, I guess, is to appreciate those who went before me and gave me the courage and fortitude to do the things that I did, including my family, Mrs. Dansbury, my first teacher when I was in the segregated school on Lincoln Avenue, which is now the Senior Center, and just the love and support that I got and the validation of myself.
What do you hope will be accomplished through the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
I think that this will allow Haddonfield to add this as one more very important part of what makes Haddonfield Haddonfield. And I think it's a story that has gone untold for a very long time, and now it's brought to the fore.
Is there like to add? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just want to commend the group for putting this together and starting off with this first one. And thank you to you young people who are also filming this. Thank you.
Just state your name and profession.
Okay, my name is Phyllis. Maiden name is Jenkins. Married name is May. My profession, I was an educator, 29 years in elementary school, first, second, fourth, sixth, and then I went up to high school as a college counselor.
Why did you decide to be part of the Preserving Black Haddonfield project?
Well, I lived in Haddonfield when I was young, and Haddonfield has changed. We lived in a tight little community, so I thought it would be nice. And also, my daughter sent me a book. Have you ever seen one of those books where they ask you questions about your childhood and then your teenagehood and everything? So a lot of memories kept coming back. So, and I like talking to young people, so it was fun.
What's your most memorable part of your experience growing up in Haddonfield?
Well, part is happy, part is sad, okay? When I was young, believe it or not, I'm trying to think how old I was. I guess 11 or 12, about 12. My father decided to put us in a 1957 Chevy, my mother, my sister, who was Janet, Janet's not with us now, and take us drive to Mexico. And if you can imagine during that time, people of color, we couldn't stay in hotels and motels. So during the evening, he would sit at the table with a map, and he would show us, okay, we're going to go the northern route going to Mexico. So we left Pennsylvania, Ohio. Coming back, we're going to go the southern route, but we're going to drive at night. And he was like, my mother did, she drove, but he did the whole trip. And we went to Mexico and had a great time. And I think about it now because where did we stay? Before it got dark, we would ride into the black section of town, and people would have signs on their house that said vacancy. And we stayed in people's homes for the night. And coming back, we went through Savannah and so forth, and we visited relatives. My relatives came from the South. But the sad part is, as soon as we got back from that fabulous trip, my father died. So, happy part and sad part.
If you could all take your seats, we'll be starting momentarily.
What's the most important lesson you learned in life?
In life, wow, a lot of lessons. Just put your foot forward, no matter what people say or things that you've heard, whether you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, or whatever. It's your life. You have one life. So try it, as long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else. Don't be afraid. I think a lot of times, I was a kid, the obedient kids, we listen to our parents, and they're in our head, and we want to try something, but Mom said, no, don't do that. Just go right ahead, as long as you have a plan.
What do you hope will be accomplished through the Black Kid preserving Black Haddonfield history?
Well, I hope that Haddonfield has never had many black students, even when I went. There might have been 6 or 7. But we had family. I grew right up on Douglas Avenue. I hope that the kids, I'll tell you one thing. I had a great education in Haddonfield. Great. Went on to college. But when I had my children, I didn't want to raise them in Haddonfield because I wanted them to go where there was more diversity. So I hope, even though you can't help if there's not a lot of black kids there, that's out of your control. But I hope you look at them as people, as students. I don't know how to say that, but it's just life is very.
Thank you.
My name is Christine Harvey Reynolds.
And your job?
I'm retired
Why did you decide to be a part of the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
to tell the truth.
What is the most memorable part of your experience growing up or around Haddonfield?
Haddonfield was very closed off from the rest of the world.
Has your adult life been different from what you imagined as a teenager?
Very different.
How so?
Because I live in an area where I don't stand out because I'm a part of a group rather than being a part of a minority and showing up like a fly in a bowl of milk.
What is the most important lesson you've learned in life?
To tell the truth.
What do you hope will be accomplished through the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
The truth.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just hope that this continues on and people can understand and see how people feel.
My name is Diane Law, and I'm a physician.
Why did you decide to be a part of the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
Oh, I thought it was a wonderful opportunity. Adrian called me and told me about it, and I was so amazed because I didn't really think there was much Black history in Haddonfield, not based on my experience here, because there were hardly any Black people. So when she told me, I figured it was a great opportunity, and I wanted to learn more.
What is the most memorable part of your experience growing up in Haddonfield?
Probably just not feeling like I was a part of the school. I mean, I had to compartmentalize my life, so there was my school life, people at school, and then there was the whole rest of my life. And the two didn't intersect, so I think that was a little bit difficult. The academic part and the social part, and they just didn't meet. But, yeah.
Has your adult life been different from what you imagined as a teenager?
I think so. I never really thought much about having children. For a long time, I didn't want any children. So I didn't have my first child until I was in my 30s, and then another in my 40s. So I figured maybe someday, but mostly I wasn't focused on family life. I was just focused on making sure that I had a career. So it turned out a little bit differently, but I ended up with both, so I'm happy.
What is the most important lesson you've learned in life?
I think it's what my father told me when I was growing up, and I think he was right. He told me, always treat people the way you would like to be treated. And so in every interaction that I have, I try to remember that. I don't have to think about it a lot anymore because it's pretty much a part of it. But I think that's the most important lesson.
What do you hope will be accomplished through the Preserving Black Haddonfield History Project?
Well, I hope it will bring people together, and I hope that it'll make a difference in Haddonfield and make a difference in the lives of young people who are participating in this, because they'll have a different perspective. And I would really like to see something like this happen in other places. And I'm thinking about the town that I live in Maryland. My husband is the mayor, actually, of the town where I live. And I was just thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could do something like this in our town?
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, it's exciting to be here and to see all of you, to see the young people. And I just think it's sad that it's not that different in terms of the number of Black people who are in the high school now. That's what I heard anyway. I mean, there were only 6 when I was there.
It's about
It's about the same. It's about the same. And there were no guys at all. It was like 6 girls. That was it. And I think that's unfortunate. But I think if you continue to have events like this and if you interact with people from other communities, then you'll be able to learn more and get along with people better and make changes as you go through life. Make friends, all kinds of friends.
Thank you.
My name is Calvin Woods. I am a pastor of 2 churches currently, and I was a former teacher for nearly 40 years. I retired. So basically that's my profession now. I'm basically retired.
And why did you decide to be part of the Preserving Black Haddonfield project?
Because I think that the community, the Afro-American community in Haddonfield needs to be aware of the past contribution of African Americans in this community, both past, present, and looking forward to the future contributions. I think one of the things that probably wants to ultimately come out of here would be that there will be a more openness to receive Afro Americans into Haddonfield and to expand their presence.
Has your adult life been different than you imagined it as a teenager?
Certainly, as a teenager, I never expected to be a pastor. That was not my desire. But God has His ways. And once you have that calling, you just have to respond. And when you do, your life completely is revolutionized. And you learn how to love in spite of. And so I'm grateful that God has stepped into my life, and even in the midst of all of that and still is allowing me to serve Him, I'm grateful. And I hope to continue to do so until He calls me home.
What did you want to do as a teenager?
Party. Get a good job, make some money, and just live a good life.
What do you think was the most important life lesson that you learned?
I think the most important life lesson that I learned was that if you trust God, no matter where He leads you or takes you, you may not see the ultimate lesson, but if by faith you continue to walk, God will lead you into victory. And bless you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm just grateful to be here and to hear all the great things that have happened into so many people's lives. And I mean, they're fantastic. And I know that it's a blessing from God in their lives.
Thank you, Reverend. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you
All
and your
right.
stories.
Thank you so much.